A very good morning to my respected lecturer, Dr. Izzat. And today, me and my group from Group 4 will be presenting on our project about digital plagiarism and academic integrity. So before I start, please allow me to introduce my group members. As for my group members, we have Kang In Ching, An Wei Jin, Ahmad Rafael, and me myself, Kawil Nash, which is the group leader for this project. So first, allow me to begin with the introduction of our project, in which in our modern era, digital ethics is facing a rise in challenge, in which our digital learning scenario is expanding heavily. Firstly, we have unprecedented access to information and tools. And secondly, we have AI technologies, which are currently reshaping the working environment in our academic sector. And last but not least, there are new opportunities for collaboration and innovation. So all these benefits in return are causing a rise in ethical pressure. What do I mean here is, people or students these days, they fail to see the boundary between help and dishonesty during learning or providing a functional assessment for their activities. And also, it allows students to be really tempted or increase their temptation to take shortcuts, in which causes an increase in this negative aspect. And last but not least, these produces students to have a more proper guidance for ethical work to prevent increase in plagiarism. Next, let's take a look at the background and relevance of our project. First of all, we have Computing's Foundation, in which computing disciplines rely fundamentally on originality, problem solving, and also authentic skill development. Following that, we have Academic Integrity, in which integrity serves as the bedrock of credible education, ensuring graduate possesses the necessary and genuine competence. And last but not least is the Professional Readiness. Industry these days demands professionals with actual verified abilities and not just credentials without any form of experience. Following that, let's take a look at our problem statement, in which digital plagiarism these days are rising heavily. People are code copying from online repositories, unauthorized AI tools usage for assignments, and submission of unattributed collaborative work. As a result, this causes an increase in ethical education, causing erosion in learning outcomes, unfair advantages during undermining assessments, and as a result, long-term consequences for professional practice. Moving on, the purpose of our project here is to conduct ethical evaluation, build safety awareness, and develop practical solutions. By ethical evaluation, I mean systematically being able to examine digital plagiarism through established frameworks. And for building safety awareness is to identify occupational professionals' risks associated with academic dishonesty. And developing practical solutions is by proposing actionable strategies to overcome this problem. The objectives of our study here is to identify ethical issues, in which we are examining specific instances of digital plagiarism in computing education, to apply ethical frameworks, in which we use the concept of utilitarian, deontological, and right-based approaches to propose useful solutions by developing evidence-based recommendations and to offer proper recommendations for the best practices in supporting our academic integrity, professionalism, and safe computing. Moving on with the scope and limitations, as for our scope, we are focusing on computing education contexts, examination of digital plagiarism practices, professional code alignment analysis, and safety and ethical implications towards our educational system. As for our limitations, on the other hand, we rely too much on secondary sources of literature, rapid evolution of AI technologies, cultural and institutional variations, and last but not least is limited primary empirical data.
Good morning, my name is Kang In Ching. I will present about real-world scenario. So in this case, I will be presenting about two real-world scenarios that we find in this project. The first one will be code copying incidents, and another one will be AI-generated submission. So for code copying incidents, it's basically when students will copy completely about the algorithm implementations without any attribution and then submit it on their own coursework. And then another one, AI generation submission, is when students will use ChatGPT or DeepSeek or any AI tools to assist them in helping their assignment. And then this will lead to them bypassing the learning process entirely. In this slide, I will present about real-world impact. So in this slide, there is three main real-world impact, which is immediate academic consequences, and then another one will be skill deficiency development, and the third one will be long-term professional risk. So the short elaborations for each of the points will be immediate academic consequences. So basically, it will result in immediate failing or even disciplinary records due to the users of AI plagiarism for the final year project or even for basic assignments. And then another one will be skill deficiency development, which means by this is the critical skill thinking of the student will become lesser, and then it will lead to inability to solve problems independently. And then long-term professional risk is when we are looking for jobs, and then it will result in our job performance become fail, and then it is legal liability for faulty code or system. I also believe that by identifying every key stakeholders is also important in avoiding plagiarism. So the each stakeholders that we can identify are students, employers, lecturers, and institutions. This part I will present more about stakeholders, which is their interest. The first one will be authentic learning. This one is for students, and then another one will be fair assessment, which one is for educators like lecturers or even teachers, and then another one will be institutional regulations, which one for universities or institutions, and then workforce trust is basically for when we go out to do some jobs to become employer or employee. As we know, ethical conflicts is also a crucial factor for AI plagiarism. The first ethical conflict will be speed versus integrity. As we know, the pressure to meet deadlines will quickly conflict with the commitment to produce original work and learn deeply. This will cause many people to use AI directly for speed and ignore their integrity entirely. And then another one will be AI assistance versus authenticity. As we know, when we use AI tools such as ChatGPT, the information that we gain will become not authentic enough. And then the third one is collaboration versus independence. Legitimate teamwork can easily cross boundaries into unauthorized sharing of individual. And then the last one will be detection versus trust. Surveillance approaches may undermine learning relationship while trying to prevent dishonesty. These are all the professional ethics code that we use as a guideline for our project. The first one will be SEM code, the second will be IEE code of ethics, and the third one will be MDEC guidelines. As we can see here, there are a few ethical framework applications that we can use. The first one will be right-based, and the second deontology, and the third one utilitarianism. All three frameworks converge on the same conclusion, which is digital plagiarism is ethically indefensible and harms individual development, institutional integrity, and societal trust in education. As you can see here, there are quite a lot of safety and occupational implications which are negative. The first one is skill deficiencies. What is meant by skill deficiencies is problem-solving inability from an individual. And then the second one is system vulnerabilities, which will result in unsafe software design. Unsafe software design may lead to a lot of other negative implications such as getting hacked easily. And then the third one is legal consequences. Illegal consequences involve professional negligence, liability for failures, license revocation.
Hi, I'm Raphael, and this is Recommended Actions. When we talk about solutions in digital plagiarism, it's not actually implying stricter punishments. No, that is not the goal, but rather better learning. First, ethics education should be embedded throughout computing curricula and not just a one-off topic, because integrity should grow alongside students' technical skills as well, right? And secondly, authentic assessments. Yes, authentic assessments. What do I mean by this? And when students are being asked to demonstrate their own idea, original thinking, to demonstrate personalized solutions, or even explaining their work in person, shortcuts will lose their appeal. We also need clearer AI policies, not just vague rules as it is, but rather boundaries that properly explains what is acceptable and what is not. But finally, a supportive culture. Supportive culture matters. Why? Because when students feel supported rather than feeling pressured, they're far more likely to choose integrity. These recommendations are grounded in preventative ethics, not reactive. Instead of reacting when a misconduct happens, proactive education addresses the root causes instead. Is it due to confusion, pressure, or even lack of guidance? More importantly, this approach builds long-term competence, because authentic learning actually produces graduates who actually understand their own work and not just pass their assessments. I mean, over time, this creates a cultural transformation, an environment where integrity isn't enforced, but rather expected. These solutions don't just benefit universities, they align directly with professional standards as well. I mean, both the ACM and the IEEE codes emphasized on honesty, respect for intellectual property, and professional competence. These aren't just abstract values. They exist to protect the public. In computing, unethical or incompetent work can actually lead to serious harm, from system failures to safety risks. So, by developing integrity during education, we can significantly reduce the risk of unethical practices in real-world professional environments. Of course, implementing these strategies comes with their own challenges, right? For example, detection technology cannot catch every single form of plagiarism, right? That is why it needs to be paired with human judgment. Authentic assessments, it requires more faculty time. It's time-consuming, so being able to prioritize high-stake tasks is essential. AI policies, right? AI policies continue to evolve every day. And that is why having a more flexible framework matters more than rigid rules. And finally, some students may resist integrity measures, but if we emphasize long-term benefits over penalties, it may help to shift their mindset. Reflection on practice. This project led us to a clear realization that academic integrity isn't just about following the rules. No, it's about building that ethical foundation that is important because it helps us to be responsible during computing practices. When we talk about shortcuts, right, we realize and we now understand that shortcuts actually undermines the value of learning. And it has and will have long-term consequences far beyond university. But more importantly, integrating ethics into technical work prepares us for real-life scenarios, prepares us for work dilemmas, where in the future, our decision actually matters. And integrity is what defines professional credibility. That is all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ang Wei Jing, battery number CI250007. Now I want to present this slide for safety procedure apply. As you can see on this slide, we implemented 3 core safety procedures. The first is self-collaboration practice is clear boundaries for teamwork with individual accountability. And the second is responsibility to users is for using AI as a learning aid, not a replacement. And the third is purpose attribution method. It's sitting our source, including code and AI generate content. And this step ensure our work remain ethical and transparent. Now I want to present the compliance and evidence. Not through comparison. These slides outline how we adhere to standard. We follow institutional policy and SOP. For assignment submission, we maintain documentation practice, logging our process and source code, and we align with professional standards from SCM, IEEE, and MDEC. This makes our project not just academically sound, but professionally creative. Okay, now I want to present the ethical and safety finding. This slide summarizes our key findings. Ethically, our frameworks utilitarian, deontological, and right-based converse agile plagiarism. In terms of safety, plagiarism lead to skill deficiency, system vulnerability, and legal consequences. These findings show that digital plagiarism is both an ethical risk and a safety risk. Okay, this slide is about important to professional practice. Why do this matter? As I highlight here, the first is public safety depends on competence, software control, critical system. The second is career are built on genius ability. The shortcut great future gap. And the third is true enable innovation. Is ethic build professional reputation. And the fourth is ethical practice start now. Academic choose shape professional character. Conclusion: this project capture our key lesson. Ethics service as the foundation, where integrity is the bedrock of computing, and we believe in prevention over punishment as education and culture are more effective than surveillance. Finally, this is a shared responsibility that requires collaboration among students, education, and institutions. That's all for me. Thank you.